want to share this with you. Mike shared this like I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And let's jump into this. So I want to share this, and this is a big, big deal in my opinion. When you can have the whole concept of Ripple being labeled as a digital bank, you don't think that sounds bullish in itself? I think it sounds absolutely nuts. So look at this for a second. Okay. This is from Neobank Tracker, the financial brand. Somebody took this, of course, with a screenshot of their phone. So I'll make this a little bit bigger, especially if you're a boomer effing sooner sitting on his couch and watching it from his couch. All right. So with that said, there's nothing wrong being on your couch. Be comfortable, you guys. I know I always give Boomer a bunch of, Anyway, shout out to Boomer. The financial brand Neobank Tracker. What is a digital bank? Well, some of us know what we think we know, but it says to be included in this list of digital banks, you must be actively providing at least one of the following financial services directly to consumers, businesses, or both. Digital banking, digital payments, right? Ripple's XRP, on-demand liquidity, right? Now called Ripple Payments, digital lending, investment services, solutions, personal finance, management, PFM tools, or financial education wellness tools. I was worried about, the digital payments and obviously banking, right? No kidding. But this other stuff, not really. I'll be honest about that. Other types of fintechs and financial services firms will not be included, of course, in this list of digital banks. You have to keep in mind, though, that a digital bank does not need full banking license or charter to qualify for the list of digital banks. Now, when was the last time this list of digital banks was updated? That's a great question. I've been wanting to know that too. This list of digital banks was first released in early 2021, updated quarterly. It is now including over 350 different providers of digital banking services, making it the biggest indexable, interactive, and up-to-date list of digital banks in the world. Now, this wasn't planned. I want you to hear me on this. I want you to think outside the box. And if anything, when I chop this up, this will be called XRP/the graph. Oh, I know where Max is going with this one. You better believe it. Because why would I include the graph on this? Well, we know that the graph is referred to as a GRT as the world's largest indexing protocol for blockchain, right? It's called the Google of blockchain. As we know, Google is the largest indexing protocol. If you have something like the graph, right, in which you can basically do what it says here, right, and that is to, have the biggest indexable, interactive, up-to-date list of digital banks in the world, well, wouldn't you need, for instance, something like the graph to provide all sorts of indexing? I mean, we talk about utility in motion. A digital bank is one thing, but to have an indexing platform that if somebody was going to, instead of Google this, to use something like the graph to find out all this information, then that's even some of the graph's utility in motion. So I want to give them an honorable mention. The last update, January 2nd, 2023. The next update will be April 2023. Think about it, right around the time in regards to the halving and so on. So I thought I'd point that out for you before we get more into all this. And getting into this next part of what we have, a little bit more of like the screenshot. So let's pull this up. You do see it. It states types of digital banking providers in the list. And we already covered some of these, right? But it's all there. Target audience, consumers, businesses. Look what it even says in regards to financial education. I'm, of course, a former educator. Tools that will help consumers build their financial knowledge and skills includes credit repair, credit monitoring, credit building services. Interesting. But of course, when it comes to Ripple's XRP, we always think about payments, facilitating payments and or money transferred between parties. Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, digital banking, providing the same. Service intends to replace or compete with checking accounts offered by traditional banks and credit unions. So this whole notion, this narrative, especially if you're just brand new and you never even knew about the whole thing of crypto, this is your first time watching, this is like, wow, the shift of going towards the old money to the new money. Jump into this next part of what we have. Look what's also on the screenshot. Let's pull this up as well. So on this one, employees, Ripple, look what it says. Some of you guys know this, some of you don't. Employees 501 to 1,000. Funding in millions. 293.80. Doesn't have all the list of the continents, but we already know a lot of those, right? Even entering into Africa. Headquarters San Francisco. Description: Ripple provides one frictionless experience to send money globally using the power of blockchain. Yeah, no kidding. All right. Let me see this. And then this last part, this is again from Mr. Stangraba. Ripple's bank account. Listen close. You will find secrets. Remember how we talking about LCX becoming a bank? About Ripple's XRP. Ripple will become a bank. Lender of last resort. There's even a video. So we're going to jump into this. Breakdown of how XRP is used within interbank transactions. Ooh, sounds super. So I'm gonna come out of the frame. This is about 1 minute. There's another video right after it. Great research. And if anything, let's go ahead and full screen this. If you appreciate the coverage, please smash that like. Make sure you're subbed to myself, Will Fix, and so on, especially if you're into XRP. Here we go.
What you do is you pay for payments in your local currency that is used to buy XRP in the middle, and XRP is liquidated into the beneficiary currency. Again, at no point is this market off limits. It doesn't matter that your bank is shut over the weekends. You can make cross-border payments at any time between almost any currency, and you do that through the network. So 3 seconds for a cross-border payment. Because of a concept that's called atomic settlement, your payment will either pass in full or fail in full, so we don't have the same failure rates. And because of these efficiencies, the cost is dramatically lower as well. You're not going through intermediary after intermediary who will all take a cut. You're just liquidating directly to a receiver, a regulated receiver in the market that you need to get to. I know that that's a lot, so we can.
Yes, it is a lot. We'll jump into the next one. And I'm out of the frame. Let's check this one out.
Is we work.
Rewind this one. This one's under a minute as well. And this is the last of the videos. So we're going to go ahead and play this as well. Here we go.
Is we work with you as an organization to determine how much value that you'd like to have and hold for those cross-border payments on a daily basis. So you'll have access to the funds in a wallet on bailment. So you don't at that point own the XRP that's sat in that wallet. When you want to make a transfer, you withdraw those funds. And as Fiona mentioned, it goes across the XRP ledger to a receiver where it's liquidated. The following business day, you will then get an invoice from Ripple that says, hey, yesterday you made a $500,000 payment. Here's the invoice to repay that to Ripple. And that would be a local Aussie dollar payment from your bank account to Ripple's bank account in Australia.
I think I might actually start to understand blockchain by the end of that. That was actually...
Is we work...
All right, that was cool. Let me just go ahead and pause that. And I think for the most part, you get the idea. You get the gist of why this is so important. I mean, at least I would. I want to jump into this next part. And don't get me wrong, the whole thing of Ripple becoming a digital bank, that's huge news. That's some of the biggest news I think I've seen in a while when it comes to that. It's one thing to go from being speculative of some of the stuff and to get a little bit more of that confirmation, some examples. That was cool. So shout out to Mike Cornwell sharing that. Obviously from Chad Steingraber, if I'm pronouncing that right. Let's jump into this next part. And it's about Ripple partner Lulu Exchange. Now, not to be confused with Crypto Lulu, Louis Jackson, but let's go ahead and share this as well. And basically speaking, here it is. This comes from XRP Drops with a Z. All right. So what do we have here? Well, Ripple partner Lulu Exchange, who can be followed at Lulu Exchange, expands in the United Arab Emirates. This is good. We know that when it comes to like Dubai and the UAE, probably some of the top proponents when it comes to embracing crypto, obviously blockchain, DLT, and so on, right? It's one of those hubs of the world that stands out. So Lulu Exchange, the 98th customer engagement center of Lulu Exchange in the UAE, is now open at Shibaya 12. The new customer engagement center was inaugurated by Mr. Adib Ahmed, managing director of Lulu Financial Holdings, is in the esteemed presence of our senior management and other dignitaries. Okay, interesting. Says it's now open. Even gives the address. It's in Abu Dhabi, obviously the United Arab Emirates. Apparently, I guess this was reported, on the 28th, so just a couple days ago. We'll go ahead and play this. Interesting. Let's see what's going on with this. It's only 22 seconds, so I'll stay in the frame. Anything, I think I'm gonna mute it because I don't want us to get demonetized, right? But yeah, you see it. It's a nice little example. Send smart. Actual employees. That's kind of cool, right? Kind of seems like a version of what, guys? I mean, I would say kind of has that MoneyGram feel, right? On the surface, but this is with Ripple, so that's cool. Glad to share that with you guys. I think if anything, I will retweet this one and then get into the next part. What we have, we got a little bit more about this. So Cryptopolitan, we're gonna get into this for a second. So this is a little bit more about this UAE. Let's see if I can get rid of this advertisement. I might not be able to. No, can't get rid of it. I apologize. But basically speaking, UAE officially stops using the dollar for oil trades. This is not necessarily like Ripple XRP coverage. You got to keep in mind, we're always paying attention to what's going on in the real world and so on. Not to say that crypto is not part of the real world. Of course it is. But this is interesting because we did, share with you guys this whole thing of what the UAE is doing and so on. Talked about, this whole thing with Ripple. But the UAE officially stopping the use of the US dollar for oil trades. This is posted on November 27th. And getting more into this, like it says, the BRICS influence and UAE's strategic shift, new era in global oil trade. We've been talking about this for, I don't know, a good year or more. UAE shifted from using US dollar to local currencies in its oil trades. Interesting. Move aligns with the broader dollarization efforts of the BRICS countries. That particular economic alliance uses, for instance, or I should say, which basically UAE recently joined. It's going to allow the UAE to significantly impact the dominance of the US dollar in the global oil market. So yeah, the decision could significantly, I should say, impact that. Getting more into this, the landscape is witnessing a seismic shift as the United Arab Emirates fully moves away from the dollar. Strategic pivot aligns with the broader ambitions of BRICS. Yeah, we just mentioned that changeover involving the transaction into local currencies for oil transactions marks a significant departure from long-established dollar dominance in the global oil market. Interesting. And of course, there's the whole thing about the influence and also the UAE's strategic shift. I'll talk about this for a brief bit. So we know about some of the BRICS countries and so on. Obviously, the big players, Brazil, Russia. You have, for instance, India, China, South Africa, right? But they expanded their membership. It includes now the United Arab Emirates, along with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and of course, Argentina from South America joining the bid or the bunch. It basically signifying a growing inclination towards de-dollarization among these nations, a move that challenges the traditional hegemony of the U.S. dollar, of course, international trade. Now, while this all seems like it's doom and gloom, to get to kind of like the point here, what is this going to mean when it comes to some of these other particular assets that we hold? I mean, I would definitely throw XDC into the mix. You know, it's like what will it do for the likes of XDC, especially when it comes to trade. But the UAE's decision to prioritize local currency over the US dollar in new oil deals is clear reflection of the settlement. The move, or this move, isn't just a mere policy shift. And again, I think we should probably put highlight on that. I have referenced cryptopolitan before. It's a strategic maneuver in the complex chess game of global economics, and basically, who will emerge out in the ahead of the pack in that regard. That's a new era for global oil trade. We know this. The significance of this move cannot be overstated. It's not just a matter of switching currencies. It's a matter of altering the very fabric of international oil trade. Very true. Potential ripple effects. I think it's funny how they mention that. On the US dollar could be substantial, marking a shift in the global economic power balance. Anything, I'm just out of curiosity interested to click on that to see where that went, you know. So interesting. That's a subliminal message. Look what happens here. So when I clicked on that link, it actually brings you right to Ripple news, as in XRP, right? Read what are XRP news today, and yeah, it brings you right to that. Interesting, because you know what? That is significant. That's a subliminal message, right? Yeah, I would totally agree. So the potential ripple effects, that's crazy, on the US dollar could be substantial, marking a global economic power balance or shift. Reports indicate that the UAE is eyeing potential oil and gas deals with up to 15 countries, including heavyweights like China, Russia, Egypt, all of whom are members of BRICS Alliance and advocates, I should say, of de-dollarization. Can't talk tonight. This isn't just about diversifying trade. It's about making a statement on the global stage. The UAE is not just following a trend, it's setting one. That's a pretty bold statement. The move by the UAE is to embrace local currencies in oil trades. It is not an isolated event. It's part of a larger narrative where nations are increasingly questioning the status quo and exploring alternatives that better serve their economic interests. This trend towards de-dollarization, particularly in crucial sectors like oil, could herald a new chapter in global economics where diversity in currency use and trade becomes the norm rather than the exception. I would agree with that as well. I'm going to read this last part. The UAE forges new partnerships and navigates this evolving terrain. It positions itself not just as a key player in the oil market, also as a trailblazer in the movement towards a more diversified and dynamic global economy. Very, very true and interesting in that light. All right. Before we kick it into the next part of our coverage, I do want to just get into this last bit of XRP that we have for you. It's just another brief video. I think Crypto Mike might have shared this. I might have shared this. I don't know where the case be. I want to bring it to you, and then we'll kick into the next bit. So Riz XRP, we follow each other. Good content creator, great researcher. He says digging in creates, for example, this Michael Barr, X Ripple and the Fed, FX and derivatives, connect the dots. We're always connecting the dots here, right? But why this particular point or particular time being? What's the big deal? So this is 2 minutes for yourself. Kind of crazy perspective. Let's watch this. Here we go.
Let me say a bit more about how innovation plays into this goal of making the financial system fairer. We should welcome financial innovation as a positive force that can increase access and lower costs for individuals and for businesses. I also want to be clear at the same time, Michael, it's important for us not to set up a regulatory environment that stifles innovation. Innovation is really critical to the financial sector. It's critical to the American economy.
So he's very pro innovation and especially Ripple. And when we go onto the Federal Reserve website and go under Michael Barr, it doesn't say anywhere here that he was with Ripple. They left that part out because this is a massive deal. Okay. This is just, you can't make this up. And then on the ISDA, just Ripple just joined. Okay. But this is a huge deal. Ripple could play a huge role in this, in the derivatives market, because Derivatives trading often involves foreign exchange and settlement processes. Participants might engage in contracts that involve currencies other than their home currency. For example, a US-based investor might enter into a derivative contract with a European counterpart that is denominated in euros. In such cases, FX considerations come into play because the value of the contract needs to be converted from one currency to another for evaluation and settlement. And this is the most important part right here. FX and settlement are essential to derivatives trading as they impact the financial aspects of contract valuation and fulfillment. It's crucial for market participants to have a clear understanding of these processes to effectively manage their derivative positions and mitigate potential risk.
Obviously, he has a lot more to share than just that. But you know what? You could definitely appreciate the perspective and, you know, what he had to share and so on. You know, the way I look at it basically is, you know, like Will Fix what he was talking about. I'm just kind of pulling up the branding again because it kind of helps with my markers when I chop it up later. But, you know, Will Fix was talking a lot about the whole thing of Ripple's XRP and derivatives and so on. So I think that pounds on a little bit more of even what he was talking about in that regard.